Oh, hi. That Carly Fiorina joke was pretty funny.
That's funny. Karen in Chicago. We have the funniest, smartest girls in class. Okay. Malcolm, I got to say, first of all, holy cow, is Joe Biden would say this is a BFD, what he just did yesterday. You tweeted resistance to vaccinated the Department of Defense. Simple solution. Have the Secretary of Defense say, I'm ordering you all to be vaccinated to protect the health of the armed forces. Don't want it. Get out. Goodbye. Thank you. I've got no time. I mean, what he just did yesterday, as he said, was a wartime effort. Take a listen.
I've always said this is a wartime effort, and every action has been on the table, including putting together breakthrough approaches. And today, we're announcing a major step forward. Two of the largest healthcare and pharmaceutical companies in the world that are usually competitors are working together on the vaccine. Johnson & Johnson and Merck will work together to expand the production of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine.
I almost would venture to say, Malcolm, it's like the art of the deal. To get two competitors to work together, use the Defense Production Act, President Biden.
This is the type of collaboration between companies we saw in World War II.
Thank you, sir.
We also invoked the Defense Production Act to equip two Merck facilities to the standards necessary to safely manufacture the J&J vaccine. And with the urging and assistance of my administration, Johnson & Johnson is also taking additional new actions to safely accelerate vaccine production. Johnson & Johnson's vaccine manufacturing facilities will now begin to operate 24/7.
So, Malcolm, you can't underestimate how huge this is. Every American adult to be vaccinated by the end of May, the order to have teachers vaccinated by the end of this month. I mean, oh my God, right?
This is absolutely amazing, and I'm glad it happened. I mean, the first thing I did this morning, I was speaking to someone in Europe about how apparently the United States government is a sane, functioning organization that in fact we could be back to normal by midsummer.
I know.
That means now there's a little caution there, Steffi. Don't forget there was a poll at CPAC that said as many as 30% of Republicans do not want the vaccination. Or is it the other way around? It was like 60%. I can't recall.
Right.
But there's a high number of Republicans.
It's the flip of Democrats. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And they are going to be the body that will keep this country sick. I mean, they just reopened Mississippi. They just reopened Texas.
I know.
100%. No mandates, nothing. No social distancing, nothing. Like the vaccine, like the coronavirus has never happened. They're going to kill their states.
Yeah.
And they know that there's a high number of African Americans in these and Latinos in these states, and that they're vulnerable to them.
Yes.
So
they're on the front lines.
The country may hobble along in the South as a sick country.
Yeah.
But the rest of the country may be past this.
Yeah. One more. Let's listen to President Biden and talk on the other side.
Here's what all this means. We're now on track to have enough vaccine supply for every adult in America by the end of May. Let me say that again. When we came into office, the prior administration had contracted for not nearly enough vaccine to cover adults in America. We rectified that. About 3 weeks ago, we were able to say that we'll have enough vaccine supply for adults by the end of July. And I'm pleased to announce today, as a consequence of the stepped-up process that I've ordered and just outlined, this country will have enough vaccine supply, I'll say it again, for every adult in America by the end of May.
Oh my God. I'm not even used to the emotion of hope. Anymore.
I'm telling you, the adults are in the room.
Yeah.
Things are happening. And, this is where let's go into politics, because it's no fun if we're just talking about the health of the nation.
Yeah. You're not the happy clappy guy. Let's get into Shouty McShoutface.
I am happy clappy on this subject. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
America will not die slowly as a sick nation. There's still going to be pockets. There's going to be Texas. And, I think that once most people are vaccinated and we find that states like Texas and Mississippi are starting to fail because their Republican governors are taking no precautions, most rational states can start putting travel restrictions on them.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But what we need to do is we need to heal the country. And the Republicans are deathly afraid of it. And I suspect cynically that the Republicans are trying to open these states up so that they can claim they are ahead of the wave of cures with coronavirus. And they can say that they opened their state up and that Biden's coronavirus vaccination program had nothing to do with it. And they're just that mean-spirited kind of people that they will claim victory for this and attribute it all to Donald Trump.
Well,
it's
Biden,
disgraceful. But
Biden has a 61% approval rating before this announcement and before the COVID Relief Act kicks in. I mean, anyway, I know you and I...
Wait till we're all in restaurants this summer and see what the approval rating will be.
Malcolm, I know you and I would have been happy just to have an American president again and not a Russian asset. So the Biden administration yesterday announced punitive sanctions on senior Russian government figures over the poisoning of Navalny and reiterated the demand that Navalny be released from detention. The sanctions block access to financial or other assets in the U.S. for 7 top figures close to Putin. I mean, America's back, part 6,000, right?
Yeah. And in fact, those sanctions are actually related to several incidents. They start off with the poisoning of Navalny and putting him in prison. They also note that they are for the threat to U.S. service members, to bounties to kill U.S. service members in Afghanistan, and are also related to the SolarWinds hacking of the 9 government agencies and the 100 businesses, and the hacking of the election in 2016. So these are personal sanctions too, by the way. Right. They're taking them, the Nostradamus route. Go after their money.
Yeah.
Take their money, make it personal. And, another thing we need to do, the United States needs to be a signatory on the Global Magnitsky Act. That's the act that Bill Browder, named after his lawyer, where nations band together to seize the assets that the Russians got from illicit gains. And they have it throughout the European Union, and the United States should become a signatory on that, which means you can take their cars, airplanes, as soon as they land in the country.
Yep. Malcolm, let me get your take on a couple other things before we get to the Capitol, to the hearings yesterday and today, is MBS and punishing him directly in that whole, as you well know, as a terrorism analyst, Middle East expert, all of that. It's not easy in the Middle East, is it? It's a complicated picture. But, I would like to see MBS more personally, punished. But what do you think of what's happened so far?
Well, I just find it absolutely fascinating how we had on the horseshoe left going after Joe Biden for not being able to punish the guy personally, right?
Right.
It would be nice. But let me explain something to you about the Middle East and its money. I lived there for 10 years in the Beverly Hills in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi. These people aren't billionaires. They're like quadrillionaires.
Yeah.
Every dollar of that oil money, that doesn't belong to the government of Saudi Arabia. The government of Saudi Arabia is whoever is king of Saudi Arabia. So they just call themselves billionaires out of modesty. But that money is their money. And the thing that hurts them the most is not putting a personal sanction on them, because you can't. We have very deep ties to Saudi Arabia. We have defense ties to Saudi Arabia. Some sort of weird thing is happening in the Middle East that, believe it or not, started under Jared Kushner, where Israel and the Gulf states are starting to make some rapprochement. These are things that are very delicate. And unless we want to destabilize them and have a Saudi Arabia run by ISIS, sometimes we have to do diplomacy. But it's been made pretty clear to the Saudis that there will be none of this ever again. And in fact, the one thing that I would demand is that the government of Saudi Arabia assist the government of Turkey in finding the remains of his body, which they mulched literally.
Ugh.
And, they say that it was an asset. The Turks probably have it.
Yeah.
But that would be the sort of pressure that Saudi Arabia would not like, is that they would have to bury this guy in Mecca and have to account for the fact that he was murdered all over again. This thing's never going to be done.
Yeah.
Just because we outlined the intelligence showing it, the Saudis are now tainted. They know it. And another thing, they know this president cannot be bought, or his family cannot be bought. And they aren't even going to try it. The good old days of Donald Trump being a president that could be bribed are over.
Yep. So let's get into the hearings yesterday and, of course, today. We just talked to Frank Flaguzzi about, I asked, do you trust Chris Wray? Because, as you know, Sheldon Whitehouse went at him about why did Republicans get access to Trump, Russia, Mueller documents and Democrats did not? Why have you not been forthcoming with Congress? And Frank said that, he blames Bill Barr, which of course, we do blame him for a lot. But so do you trust Chris Wray? And what did you take from yesterday and what's going to happen today, do you think?
Yeah, I trust Chris Wray. He came off as a straight shooter. Yeah. And, if it involved any records out of the Department of Justice through the FBI, that was Bill Barr. Okay. Wray cannot say no to Bill Barr if he says, I'm the Attorney General of the United States and I want all these records. Then again, Merrick Garland, as the new Attorney General, when he gets confirmed, will also be able to say, I want to see the records related to Trump, Russia, and I am, as Attorney General, going to release them to the investigatory committees of the Capitol. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But with regard to right-wing extremism, he was on point at all levels. I made this comment on Ari Melber the other day. I was quite surprised that the FBI has a very, very, very liberal, if you want to put it that way, eye towards the use of the word terrorism. Way more liberal than I did. As you know, I was calling the insurrection an insurrection, which is a violation of law. They seem to be hinting that they have a broader conspiracy that drew this away from just being an insurrection towards an act, a conspiracy of threat of violence or violence, which was political in nature, designed to impact an audience beyond the immediate victim. That is the definition of terrorism. So I would like to see the indictments that they have, which means they have either confirmed that there were murder cells or what we call capture and kill teams within that riot, or that there was a broader conspiracy that they can prove where this was very well organized, perhaps from the top. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Chris Wray seems to be very confident about that, to use the T word.
But I mean, I think you and I have said this, cutting through all the bull and the finger pointing and cover your ass that we're seeing. I mean, the Pentagon ordered to stand down, right? On the, what do you call it? I mean, we were talking about how I love how they tried to blame the mayor of D.C., who does not have the power, right? John Kennedy's like, oh, black lady, we found a black lady, and that's who's to blame, right? I mean, isn't it the Pentagon? Came from the top that because it was white Trump supporters, stand down, right? Defang the what do you call it? National Guard.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the commanding general of the D.C. National Guard is testifying this very moment on television. All of this, the real circumstance of why nothing happened, and I've said this before, is because apparently the entirety of the national security apparatus of the United States disarmed itself. And it disarmed itself because the protesters were Trump voters and white. It's as simple as that. And therefore, the White House didn't provide any extra security. The Pentagon specifically made sure that the National Guard could not bring riot equipment, would only have a 40-man quick response force out at Andrews Air Force Base, for God's sakes, right? That's like a 40-minute drive.
Yeah.
They did that to favor Donald Trump. And so did the sergeant at arms in the Capitol. We've seen that. And more importantly, the chief of police of the Capitol Hill Police, a big Trump supporter, I understand. They did not view them as hostile because they weren't black and they weren't liberal. And
Malcolm,
so they found in the end that the entire thing collapsed around them.
If you heard all the chatter that you heard, as you said, all you need is an internet connection,
Lots of chatter.
and it was Black Lives Matter. If you heard all of the same things you heard, DC would have looked like friggin' Fallujah on January 6th. If you thought Lafayette Square was bad, I mean, give us a break. You're absolutely right. Like, it's so transparent that because it was white Trump supporters, they did nothing.
That's right. And the whiteness of those Trump supporters was the camouflage that they used to get close to their targets. Look, these people at points were waved into the building so that they wouldn't damage it, or because there were sympathetic officers. Let me tell you, I know for a fact, Black officers would not have allowed Black Lives Matter protesters to just push their way into that building.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about whether you're going to live up to your oath of what you swore to do. That's why you have 35 officers under active investigation right now inside the Capitol. And I got that from the protesters themselves, or from the insurrectionists themselves. They were saying, cops were saying, come on in.
Yeah.
Right? Hopes that, don't damage anything.
Yeah.
And not to mention the millions of dollars in damage that they did to the building and to the artwork inside there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Malcolm, back to TV for you, as I get to watch you almost every moment of the day with everything going on in the hearings today.
I'll be on tonight on Joy Reid.
Oh, good. Fantastic. Oh, two of my favorites together. All right. Love you. Goodbye.
Well, tomorrow's March 4th, the 19th inauguration of Donald Trump.
I was going to say, is there going to be trouble, or is that dissipating, do I hear? Because now they have an alternate March 20th date for Trump's inauguration.
Oh, geez.
Wait, what?
Heard that one.
They have an alternate March 20th date now. So they're not. Is tomorrow going to be trouble? What do you think?
And then it'll be pushed back to January 20th, 2024.
This is what cults do.
It's like the rapture people. They're so imprecise. It's so hard to schedule around. I got stuff to do. I have to know when the rapture is going to be. All right. Thank you, Malcolm. Love you.